What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to go ahead and install some sights on my personal XD45 service. As you guys may have seen in the past, I've installed a couple sights from a company called Advantage Tactical. They make like the pyramid shaped sight that I've really become a fan of over the past, say, 6 months or so. So instead of just installing them on other people's firearms, I've kind of taken a shine to them, and I want to go ahead and install them on the gun that I utilize most in my arsenal, actually. So what we're looking at here is the slide for my XD45 service. You can see the sights are already removed. For the more experienced DIYers and XD owners out there, you're likely to hear about the horror stories of removing the factory sights from an XD or an XDM. I will not lie, it is somewhat difficult to do so, but it's not impossible. I've ran into a couple people that just want to give up, and they think that they're gonna have to get a $500 sight pusher to get that job done. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. It's more of a matter of finesse in how you do it versus sheer raw power. I broke these sights off in about 20 minutes. I didn't video it, but I guess I probably should have. It did cost me a brass punch, but the sights came out front and rear without really too much fighting. Really, the key to getting XD sights off are, one, you need to make sure that the force you're applying by striking your punch, your brass punch, or whatever you're utilizing to get that sight off is focused and not shifting out into whatever your means of holding is. Personally, how I did this one, I just had it on a pretty sizable thick piece of wood, made sure I had a really good grip on it, and with a flat-sided punch, gave it a few good whacks with a mallet. The mallet didn't seem to really want to take care of the job, so I ended up having to get a metal ball peen hammer and you know, hitting it pretty good. It's definitely not for someone that's scared to swing a hammer, but not impossible either. You know, there's a lot of things I've seen out there on the internet that are relatively scary. You know, people using air hammers, things like that, or tools you just can't really control. Now, I don't doubt for a second that that's not viable, that it wouldn't get the sights out, but you run a pretty high risk of damaging your gun. So really, again, it's really about how you're gripping it and how you're hitting it to get those sights out versus you know, sheer extreme force. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get involved in the installation of these sights. I've already got other videos out there describing the purpose and what's going on with them. I'll also have some videos coming up to talk about the Firefly Inserts, which are basically self-illuminating inserts that Advantage Tactical uses or just recently came out with that are wicked. We're going to do a pretty long and lengthy video on that once we get going, but let's just get moving here and getting these sights installed real quick. Okay, folks, this is what you're looking at when you buy a sight kit from Advantage Tactical. Really, you're looking at the major part of the triangle or your rear sight, your front sight holder, and your different color front sight inserts and your different color rear sight inserts. It also has some shims so you can adjust your point of impact once you get the sights installed. We've already kind of talked about in the Glock install vid how you change the inserts. The rear, as you can see, just has a roll pin that would be forced out. That allows that rear sight insert to come out, and you can install any of the other rear sight inserts. How this rear sight works is you see how you have that tang, which you can adjust the tension on via the set screw that goes right here that we have on the table, and that'll allow it to loosen up. And also your front sight on an XD is dovetailed in. So let's go ahead and try and get this rear sight installed. So first things first, when you install a rear sight on an XD 1911, really anything that's dovetailed, Springfields and 1911s are notorious for having very tight dovetails. So sometimes a little bit of fitting may be required. It shouldn't be too much. If there's too much fitting going on, that means it's probably a poor piece of manufacture from whatever site you're using. But basically, the first thing you want to do is make sure that set screw is out and that tensioning bar underneath that sight is loose. You'll hear a lot of things from people about right to left or left to right install. Basically, how I took the rear sight out was going right to left. So I'm going to insert this going left to right. So basically, at this point, what you're going to do is just check your fit of the rear sight into the dovetail. No issue there. No fitting is going to be needed. What you can do if you do have an issue and you can't get those to fit is a simple piece of sandpaper on a flat, rigid surface. You would just rub the base of that sight on that to just fit it in a little bit. You don't want to go too crazy. What I usually do is like a 220 and then a 400 grit, and just with a little lubricant or oil, once you are very careful about fitting, you would try and slide the side in. Now what I usually do if I'm having fitment issues is if you can get the sight to start by maybe say a third relatively easily with your finger pressure, at that point I think you're safe to mallet it or gunsmithing hammer it in. If you're very close to the edge of the dovetail, what you don't want to do is beat a sight in. You're going to bend something, damage something. If it's tritium, you're likely to pop the tube or just, ruin it by using sheer force instead of a little bit of finesse. So with that being said, I already have the insert I want in this one. So we have it placed. So I'm basically just going to set in that set screw, tighten it down, and we're going to be ready to rumble. So here we have the set screw and the supplied Allen key that gets sent to you as part of your kit from Advantage Tactical. We'll go ahead and get this on there, give it a start, and we'll just cinch it down. And as we get a little bit of tension on it, we'll go ahead and try and get it in the right position and we'll tighten it down. I won't utilize any Loctite on this until I take it and bore sight it. Maybe run it a little bit at the range to ensure that I have it where I want it. But as it stands right now, this is a relatively easy part of the install. Alright, well now we have the rear sight installed on the slide. We've got it snug down. This is, again, we'll take a chance to look at that that hole right there, which holds the roll pin that adheres the rear sight portion to the actual sight base. So once you have it snug down, it's much easier to take one of your roll pin punches, push that roll pin out, remove the insert, and put in a new one. So with that done, we'll go ahead and install the front. Now I already have an insert that I want to try in this front. And again, look how big those sights are. That's what I like about these. I mean, wow, that thing is huge. But what we're looking at here is one of the Firefly inserts I briefly touched on earlier, but I'm going to do an entirely separate video on that. I definitely think it's worth doing so. So we're just going to focus on installing this right now. I'll do like I did with the rear and start the way that I removed the last one, and we'll see how that fits in. So you'll see with this one, if I can get a close enough view there, the Springfields have indexing marks on their slides or on the dovetails, and usually you can get a little bit past one of those when you're starting one. This one's a little snug, so what I will think I'll do is just do just a wee bit of fitting like we spoke about before. So with just a little bit of sandpaper and a little bit of lubricant, we'll go ahead and just try and shave this down just a wee bit. Now this is something you want to be really careful on. You do not want to remove a bunch of metal, especially on a dovetailed sight, because once you do that, everyone's heard the old adage, you can't put it back. So really that's all we're trying to do. As you can see, we're just cleaning off a little bit of that paint, and we'll go ahead and try and get it to fit again. Basically what we're looking for is that 1/3 insertion without having to be too mechanically persuaded. Once we have that, we'll be in a position where we can go ahead and give it some assistance going into the dovetail. Alright, at this point you guys can see after a little bit of fitting, we're well over our 1/3 into the front dovetail. So we're in a position now, I think we can go ahead and add a little bit of force. So I'm going to get a brass punch. This is not something I would recommend using a steel punch for, especially on insertion, because you probably likely get a little bit of damage. So again, we're just going to give it a little bit of tap and see how it's going. This is something that you want to take a little bit of time on. You don't want to rush through this. You can see we are moving. We are getting where we need to go. The one good thing about these sights as well, as you can see, you have a very solid flat base that's tiered to another flat base, so you can really get excellent contact with your punch. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and tap this the rest of the way in, and hopefully here in a minute the sight install will be done. Alright guys, there you have it. We've got the sight into the dovetail. It did require a little bit of persuasion, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We know it's in there snug, and we know we can take it out again if we wanted or chose to change out the insert. So that gives us a good look what those sights will look like. These things are cool, man. I really dig them. So anyway, if you guys run into any issues trying to work on XDs, these are actually my carry gun of choice. Even though I do a lot of custom work to other guns, I am a big fan of XDs, and they have some unique challenges. So if there's something I can help you guys with, feel free to you know, ask it in the comments or message me, and I will definitely see if I can do anything to help you. So one last thing before we go, I'm just going to give you guys a little preview of what these Firefly inserts look like. And there's going to be again another video coming up on that, but these things are wicked, guys. So stand by 1 minute and I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. One last thing, I want you to see this insert. So I'm going to be shutting off the video lighting and the work lighting in the shop here and try and get you guys a good look at that. It's really cool. So basically we're not in the dark, but do you guys see that front sight post? Are you kidding me? I mean, that is insane. And that's not even fully charged. That's just with a little bit of exposure to some ambient lighting in the shop. You guys see that? That's crazy. And it comes with 2 different colors. And I haven't really tested these thoroughly yet, but I will. And man, that's cool. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you guys that really quick before we left off, and let you know preemptively that we will be doing some videos specific to those. And really cool, fun stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.